All right, hello everyone. This is Alan from MysteryMTG.com. A very foggy, rainy, traffic-filled day here in Seoul, South Korea. Today we're talking about Standard. It is the bane of my existence as a retailer. We've tried to get it to fire, and it almost never did. And for every other game store in our area, that was true for a long time. I think now it's starting to make a little bit of a comeback. People are getting some events to fire, and that is just because Wizards has announced that they want Standard to become the premier format again. They've released an article where they kind of detail their whole plan to revitalize it. And I want to know what you guys think below, but in my opinion, this is the thing. Yes, they're going to be pushing the showdowns again. There's going to be promotional material. There's going to be stamped cards. There's going to be oversized cards for retailers who hit certain metric goals. They're doing what they can, but it's just not enough. In this day and age, how are you going to make the argument for someone who says, I can just build a commander deck for $500 and get hundreds of playtime hours out of it versus spending $500 or more on a standard deck and then having it rotate, right? So even when I started playing, that was the argument. It's don't play standard. You're going to lose your money. It rotates so often that it's just unsustainable. Now, how can that be fixed? It can be fixed a couple of ways. There are not a lot of solutions, but there are a few. One of those being that retailers build in-meta decks in-house and they let people rent them out. Now, this is very difficult. It is a big investment, and I'm talking about thousands of dollars, and you can only really upcharge people like $5 for entry if they rent a deck out, or sometimes do it for free. But you have to know for the long term, this helps your store out. When you have decks that people can rent out, they will buy those cards from you and they'll build their own deck eventually. You'll get people who continue to come back and become pillars in your community. I know it's just super expensive. That's what has been prohibiting us from doing this for a long time. But we just have to do it. We're biting the bullet now and we're just going for it because I want people to jump into Standard, and I don't want it to be this super expensive thing that they're like, oh man, why is this store trying to force this onto me? It's just too much money. So the other solution is going to be WOTC has to value pack events. They have to do a lot of stuff to get people to want to come to the weekly events, to get people to want to participate in standard only events. And there's no GPs anymore. There isn't really an incentive right now. Yes, you can have the weekly showdowns and you can have FNM stamped cards and whatever. Those were cool. People still like those, but that's not enough to get people to want to buy a deck once again, where they're spending $600 to maybe $1,000 on the deck and having to buy a playset of Shield Red, whatever, knowing that in a year or two, it's going to rotate out. So it's so difficult, right? A lot of legacy players, a lot of commander players will never play standard. A lot of modern players used to be standard players and will never go back because there's enough prize support, there's enough incentive to keep them in that format, and they don't have to worry about rotation. Standard has to be a big investment from Wizards of the Coast. And if it's not a big investment, it's not going to work out. You have to realize when you released MTG Arena and you made it possible for people to just grind standard at home and play in these little championships where they can win $2,000 or whatever, no one wanted to come out to the store again. And here in Asia, it's the same thing. There were a lot of Asian players that literally just stopped coming to the game store because of MTG Arena. Why go to the game store when you can do it on your phone? So I think it's come back to bite them. I think if you look at their financial report, unfortunately, it does seem that MTG Arena didn't really work out in terms of becoming a cash cow for them or generating a lot of profit. It seems as though, and I could be wrong, but this is what I saw when we were talking about it online. MTG Arena accounts for just 2% of Wizards of the Coast's profit. And I will link that below. So if we can get those numbers, I'll link it below, or I'll add a disclaimer saying this was disproven or this was proven. But this is the last time we had this conversation with a couple members of the team. We were going over some articles, and it just showed that MTG Arena was very minor compared to where we thought MTG Arena was actually going to be. We thought it was going to be a lot bigger. But that's the standard killer. That was the standard killer. In Asia, it killed a lot of events. People stopped coming out. And I honestly also play MTG Arena on my phone or on my laptop. I've never bought in gems. Will never buy gems. And I get to play for free, basically. So, yeah, then why am I going to build a paper deck? I'm not going to build a paper deck for standard if I don't have a really good incentive. And what is that incentive? Well, they're doing it a little bit by the regional championship is going to be standard after modern. And this is one of the few events where they're not going to allow you to schedule a sealed draft instead. So for every other event, for Pioneer, for Modern, etc., you could actually schedule a draft, a sealed event instead, and people could qualify that way. For this event specifically, we've been told it is only standard. So they're trying to push it onto people. I hope it works out. Standard is great for stores. I love rotation. I think it keeps things fresh. And given we're looking at Wilds of Eldraine and not a single rare is above $3, I see standard becoming more affordable in the future, not less affordable, just because we have all these variants and showcases, etc. But I don't know. We have to see where it goes from here. I really, really want to hear what you say below, because we can reiterate this to Wizards of the Coast. We are finally WPN Premium, and we have a great communication line with them. Just text below. Why are you not going to play standard? Why are you going to play standard? What is incentivizing you? Alan from MysteryMTG.com. I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.